Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Real Hazardous. Today we're going to talk about our Suzuki motors. Some of you may have seen it. When we first got these motors, we did a review on how the boat performed, our initial thoughts, of the Suzuki motors. And well, now it's been 6 years, hard to believe. 6 years and approximately 1,200 hours later on these motors. And we wanted to give an update, tell you what we thought, the good and the bad, and just help you out if you're looking at Suzuki to repower your boat. We had never owned a Suzuki motor before. We had Yamaha HPDIs on this 27 Contender, 2000 model, and those motors just, they didn't do well. We had a lot of issues. We found other problems in terms of maintaining them and cost and things that we just didn't like about it. We looked at a couple different motors. We thought about going to a Yamaha 4-stroke. We actually even looked at the Evinrude E-Tech at the time, but we ended up eventually going to the Suzuki motors. We didn't really plan it at the time, but we were at a boat show. My dad was there, and he started talking to like some of the sea tow and the towboat US guys. He's like, "Hey guys, what do you tow in the most?" I'm like, "Well, typically Evinrudes and Mercuries." I'm like, "Okay, what do you guys use?" And like, "Well, we all use Suzukis." So they had quite a few hours. Started looking around, and people had a lot of good things to say about them. Also, when we bought them, the cost for the Suzuki was significantly less than a Yamaha 4-stroke. So we got the Suzuki, and in general, so far, we really liked it. Really happy with the motors. Would like to go with Suzuki again next time. If we ever upgrade the motors or boat to a new boat, Suzukis are really great. But here's the feedback I have on these motors. We have the 300 horsepower Suzuki motors. They have the selective rotation, the lean burn, pretty neat features. And overall, we haven't had many problems. The biggest problem we have had with these motors is the O2 sensor. If you do some research, you'll probably hear guys talk about that a lot, O2 sensors going bad. Over the 6 years, I believe we've had to replace 3. I think it was 3, maybe 4. Not something that frequently happens, and it's not really a big deal. It doesn't shut the motor down, nothing bad like that. It regulates, the air, helps you get a little better mileage. So when it does go bad, your fishing trip's not over, you just get a little alert on your gauge, and you know to fix it. When we bought these motors, it came, they had a promo, and we got the 3 years extended warranty. So we had a total of 6-year warranty. And the good thing is, the O2 sensor was covered fully by that warranty. So almost every time it was replaced for free. We did have it just go out, and we're out of warranty now, so that last time, of course, we had to cover it ourselves. And we actually fixed it ourselves. We'll probably do a video on that soon if you've ever had that problem. Kind of a funny thing to deal with, but once you figure it out, it's easy to replace. And the part itself, I think, was about $100-ish bucks. So not a terribly expensive fix for an outboard motor. The other problem we did have is we had we didn't know at the time, but basically something with the wiring harness failed. We got an error code. I think it was it's either a 2-4 or 4-2. I get them confused. But I hadn't seen it before, and eventually it shut the motor down. And I'm like, dang, what's going on? I was trying to find it up. There wasn't a lot on it, but basically something with the wiring harness. It's not actually in the motor. It connects the motor up, to the gauges and stuff in the front. It's in the boat, and I guess it just got corroded, and the wire fell, and they had to replace that harness. That was not covered by the warranty. They ended up having to replace it, and surprisingly, it wasn't too bad. I believe it was about $200 something. Not bad considering just to have the motors maintained by a mechanic is, I believe, $250 just for labor, and then plus all the parts per motor. So that was a fairly cheap fix. Another issue we've had was the gauges. We did have the gauge go out. We had one fixed, but another one went out, and we didn't get that replaced. The warranty on the gauges is apparently only 1 year, so keep that in mind. It's not the whole 6 years. Kind of annoying. I'd like to have all my gauges working, but nowadays with the NEMA, I think that's how you pronounce it, NEMA 2000, you can connect your motor. Your motors can display all that information on your GPS units, your overall display. So the gauge is not super important. Also, with one gauge, I can view all the data on both motors, so it's kind of nice there. But just something to keep in mind, the gauge hasn't lasted so well for us. Finally, I wouldn't say this is an issue with the motor. In fact, it's probably good what the motor did. We had a couple issues. If you've been following us, you'll see where a couple times we got some fuel issues, where we got water in the fuel or bad fuel. And the motors, you know, the gauges would go off alarms and would say, hey, there's getting water in your motor. And it would stop the motor or slow down the motor, which is a good feature. It stopped it before anything bad could happen. In those cases, there's a little filter in the motor, and you got your fuel separator in the boat. Sometimes we fixed that out in the water, or worst case, we came back, we cleaned all that out, put it back in, and it fired up and ran great. So I wouldn't say that's a problem with the motor. It was great how the motor, you know, alerted us, you know, sensed the water starting to build up, and we could stop it before any damage was done. Overall, great experience with the motors. You know, we started running them, and as we've run them, you know, probably 400 or 500 hours into it, I felt like, you know, the motors broke in by that point. We got a little bit better performance, a little bit better mileage. Still running the 3-blade Suzuki props, and the props have been good too. I haven't spun any hubs, haven't had any problems with those. So I would like to try some different props eventually, maybe some 4-blades, just to see how it does. But overall, the motors and the props, everything's done real good. It's a good experience. Would I buy Suzuki again? Yes. Still really like them. They seem to be growing in popularity, and just a good, reliable engine. Okay, I know, you know, Mercury, you know, it's got supercharger. You know, Yamaha, they seem to have a lot of bells and whistles and great performance, but ultimately I need reliability. You know, when I want to go fishing, I want the motor to work. You know, I don't want to get stranded offshore, don't want to have issues, foot's going bad, you know, head's blown, stuff like that. And while engines seem to be getting better, I really like the Suzuki. So hope this information helps you guys out. If you guys got any questions about any of the issues, the O2 sensors, things like that, need more details, by all means comment below. Let me know what you think of your engines. A lot of different models of Suzukis, you know, they got the new 350s. You know, please comment below, tell me what you think, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you guys learned some things. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, Real Hazardous, and we'll see you next time.